declared policy of the state, which states that it is our policy to promote professionalism in the armed forces of the Philippines, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and the Philippine National Police Academy Cadets, and provide adequate remuneration and benefits for its members. Under the goals and objectives of the national security policy of the Philippines for 2011 to 2016, there is also the explicit pursuit of security sector reform, calling for stronger civilian control and oversight, as well as the professionalization of our security forces to include, among others, the establishment of programs designed to train soldiers, police, and other security sector personnel on their respective functions and responsibilities under the Constitution or as provided by law. No less than the President and the Commander-in-Chief, Benigno S. Aquino III, being mindful of what the state and our people require of our security forces, made this commitment on July 23, 2010. Sabi po ng ating Pangulo, tungkulin niya bilang Commander-in-Chief ang pangalagaan, ang kapakanan ninyo, referring to our security personnel, upang mas mabuti naman ninyo mapangalagaan ang kapakanan ng taong bayan. Kayo ay haligi ng patuloy na pag-unlad ng Pilipinas sa pagpapanatili ng kapayapaan at katahimikan. Mr. Chairman, this representation, along with Representative Gary Alejano and the Magdalo Partylist, who count among its constituents former and retired AFP, PNP, Coast Guard, Fire, and Jail Management personnel, enjoin this committee and our colleagues uphold this promise. Alam po natin na ang sabi po ng NSO, kailangan po ng isang pamilya ng 5 tao around 13,000 pesos a month to survive, to have a decent living. Marami po sa ating security personnel, state security personnel, ay nagtitake home po ng anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 a month. Marami pong nagsasabi na pag dinagdagan po natin ng 60 pesos a month, ang mga personnel ng mga ahensya na banggit natin, kukunti lang daw po ito. Which brings to mind two things. One po, as much as we'd like to increase it to a larger amount, from 90 pesos to 150, sabi po nila, dapat mas mataas pa sa 150. Yung pinopropose natin na 60 pesos per month increase, nandiyan po yung limitasyon natin sa budget. But at the same time, I am mindful of those personnel who bring home only 4,000 a month. Pag na-aprobahan po natin yung additional 60 pesos a month, that is an additional 1,800 pesos. Malaking bagay na po yan sa nag-uwi lamang ng 4,000 buwan-buwan. So Mr. Chairman, we have not had an increase in the subsistence allowance for the better part of 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken. This may be a token form of gratitude to those who serve on the line, but ito po ay napapanahon at nararapat. With that, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to urge the committee for the adoption of this joint resolution. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Congressman Acedillo. By the way, this is not a referral, but this is Appropriations Committee matter, main committee. Congressman Acedillo and Congressman Alejano, members of the Appropriation Committee also. So we have Congressman Ong, Congressman De Rosario, and Congressman Napa. So we now get the feedback first from the sino mauna, AFP o DBM? DBM siguro? Can we get the DBM so it will give us the figures? The chair will recognize asset in Chua.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The recommendation of the DBM, Your Honor, is to we we support the increase in the subsistence allowance from 90 pesos to 150 pesos a day. So, but implementation will start in January 1, 2015. Considering the substantial budgetary implication, which is, per our computation, additional funds of approximately 9.24 billion is required on an annual basis for such increase in subsistence allowance. Also, our recommendation includes the inclusion of uniformed personnel of the NAMRIA because they also follow the compensation system of the uniformed personnel. So that is basically our comments, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Asek Chua. May we now hear from the AFP? Asek Chua.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Congressman Uma and the sponsors team, particularly the Magdalo Partylist representatives, Congressman Francisco, Acedillo, and Congressman Alejano. Earlier, the chairman acknowledged the representative of the AMP, the deputy chief of staff for personnel J1, and the chief of the management office. Mr. Chairman, we have also the different sergeant majors of the major subordinate units of the armed forces who are here to manifest support of the joint resolution. The Secretary of National Defense fully supports this initiative, considering that, number one, the subsistence allowance of the armed forces was adjusted 7 years ago. That was July of 2007, from 60 pesos to 70 pesos, and 90 pesos rather. And throughout these years, we know that there were increases in the prices of commodities, and it is very timely, particularly our forces in the field. There are some suggestions, however, Mr. Chairman, particularly the inclusion of the AAP reservists undergoing annual active duty training. The reservists is a part of the total force concept, and our reservists undergo 2 weeks training annually. And every time that they undertake this active duty training, they are also likewise given subsistence allowance. So we would recommend that the subsistence allowance of reservists undergoing active duty training be likewise included. The second item, Mr. Chairman, we recognized the computation of the Department of Budget and Management, which was attached in their letter dated September 2 of 2014. I went through quickly this computation, and the computation was based on the 2014 figures, and therefore I believe that it was based also on the static summary of 2014. We have gone through the budget deliberation process, and there is an adjusted staffing summary for 2015. So for the formation of the committee, the chairman, I believe that there should be a computation of the requirements of the armed forces. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So after DND, we will listen from DILG for PNP and DOTC for Coast Guard. No? But before that, can we go back to the DND? We would like to ask their official, for the record, their comment on the inclusion of the reservists in the proposed bill.
Thank you, Your Honor. The reservists are not really part of the regular force, And our computation is based on the troops, actual troop strength, and based on the assumption of 365 days per year entitlement to subsistence allowance. In the case of the reservists who are called to undergo the 2-week training, they are still not part of the regular force and not considered as government personnel. So we have reservations about including them in the computation for personal services because subsistence allowance is part of PS, personal services. Maybe that could be included under MOE. And our comment is, our question is, shall this be given in cash or given in kind, like we just provide for sustenance and food during the 2-week training? Having ceiling for the cost of food, maybe 150 a day. These are just our concerns coming from the budgetary terms and budgetary rules that we have in the DBM.
Yes, Congressman Acedillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick clarificatory question. Madam, if we made a quick computation, if we were given a rough figure by DND as to how many undergo active duty training on an annual basis, and we came up with a manageable figure, would that change the position of the DBM, or would you be of the same position as you just mentioned a while ago?
Right now, because my colleague who is handling the DND says that that particular expense is not very transparent in the budget of the DND. So hindi po natin nakikita yan as a line item in the budget of the DND. Yung, on the other hand, subsistence allowance as part of personal services is a separate line item. Okay? You can easily see it, how much is allocated for subsistence allowance. But in the case of the reservists, wala po yun sa PS. So baka po right now, if they are already giving it, it is being charged to MOE, sir. So, yeah, so it would be useful if we can have an estimate of the cost needed for this allowance for the reservists. And maybe that can be included as a part of the budget proposal of DMD. Because right now, it's not transparent in the budget.
Yes, for the clarification, ma'am. Yung personality ng reservist ganito eh. Pag ordinary reservist siya is only a civilian, hindi siya kasama doon. But when he is called to active duty, he becomes a soldier.
Yes.
He becomes part of the organization, ready to serve the country. So, paano natin ang treatment doon? Hindi naman pwedeng hindi natin sila isama sa subsistence allowance naman siguro.
Sir, Your Honor, when called to active duty, my question is, are they given appointments? So they are considered part of the regular force already? Kasi po, I think the concern is those called to training for 2 weeks. Yun po yata ang concern. I think when they are called to active duty, then they will be entitled to the compensation of the military personnel.
Yes, Congressman Acedillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Assistant Secretary, ganito po kasi yung pagkakaintindi po natin sa renewed interest ng AFP to pursue annual active duty training for its reserve personnel. Pag kasi po, meron tayong reservists who we do not train on a regular basis, it would also be foolhardy for us to maintain them in the reserve inactive list because eventually they will not be properly mobilized without the requisite training. Hence the interest of the Department of National Defense to see to it that they are able to undergo training on a regular basis, albeit on a limited time frame on a year-to-year basis. So, pangalawa po, yun pong objective ng modernization program ng AFP is to downsize our regular standing force and to promote the use and mobilization of our reserve force. So, I think we are in the initial stages of this program. Kaya po, gusto sana nating sang-ayunan yun pong programa ng DND tsaka AFP to train our reservists. Subject, of course, to that colatilla, nakakayanin naman po based on the computation. Kasi hindi naman mo ito, kasi sa pagkakaalam mo natin, Mr. Chairman, nasa milyon-milyon na ang AFP reservists. But we're not aiming to give SA or subsistence allowance dito sa milyon-milyon reservists. We're merely talking about those who will undergo the active training every year, which, if may we ask either DND or AFP, can we be given a quick figure kung ilan?
Estimate na lang. Estimate.
On an annual basis, sir, AFP-wide, including the major services, para po may idea ho tayo the amount that we are talking about.
Mr. Chairman, sir, on the annual basis, we will be training 89,705 reservists for 2 weeks.
Times 2 weeks,
Times 2 weeks, times 150, that would be equivalent to 188,380,507.
Person they are receiving 90 times 60 lang.
Yes.
Times 60 lang.
Mr. Chair.
This is
Yes, si Congressman Alejano muna. Okay, Congressman Alejano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to you. Just a clarification from the armed forces. If we say 188 million, is this the whole 188 million, 380,500? Is this the whole amount to 150 pesos for 2 weeks, or just an increase? Do they receive 90 pesos already, or this is the full amount of 150?
Your Honor,
Before the AFP will reply, I recognize the arrival of Congressman Aliping. So please proceed from the AFP.
Your Honor, sir, this is the full amount, sir, because currently the subsistence allowance for the reservists is not yet included in the budget.
May we hear again from DBM? Mga 188 ang million ang estimate. 188
Mr. Chair, just a prejudicial
Yes,
question.
Congressman.
Can we be clear? Because there is a statement na yung 90 wala pa daw eh. So are we increasing from 90 to 150, or we are increasing it to 150? Is there already an existing 90? Because in your bill, as if we are just increasing it by 60 to make it 150. But on the statement of from the resource person, hindi lang daw yun. Dahil ang wala, they are not receiving the 90 yet. Maybe we be clarified on this.
Yes, Congressman Acedillo.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Vice Chair Ong, for your question. Yung pong ating proposal seeks to propose an increase from 90 to 150, or an increase of 60 pesos.
So there is an existing already.
For those already receiving subsistence allowance. The proposal po of DND is to grant SA to reservists undergoing annual active duty training, because currently they are not receiving the SA in the current form as received by those who are already covered. yung pong binigay na amount ng ating representative from the AFP of 188 million calls for 150 pesos SA for annual active duty training for reservists undergoing training for 2 weeks. So yun po, it will round out to 150 pesos per day per reservist for 2 weeks every year. So yun po.
So we are talking here of two groups.
Correct po.
Okay. So tama po yung sinabi ng thank you po. So maybe the DPM should be guided on that. It's not really an increase of the 60, but in some cases, 150 yung iba. Am I correct? So your computation should be divided into two groups.
Yes, Your Honor, because right now, as I have mentioned earlier, it's not really specified in the budget. So it's not clear, it's not in the budget, the current budget of the. So it will be a new provision come 2015.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, Congressman Aro.
may we know where subsistence allowance is placed right now? Is it under the MPBF or it is within each department?
It is under the budget of the DND, under personal services. And right now, in the current amount of 90 pesos per day, Your Honor. Come 2015, there is a provision in the proposed budget that we can charge it under MPBF, miscellaneous personal benefits, for the additional.
So that's for additional. So in that case, for 2015, all subsistence allowance falls in its respective department, not under MPBF.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, for the 90 pesos in their respective agency budgets.
So just in case we pass this resolution, and if we grant it, we can charge it in the NBBF.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The chair would like to declare 1 minute suspension, then i-count muna natin kung anong direction na. So, one representative from AFP, from TVM, yung mga authors, o yan, pag-usapan natin. From one representative, isa na lang ang DOTC. One from PNP, pag-gather tayo dito. So, 1 minute suspension.